what's your attitude to structures in, I, I don't want to call it jazz, in the music that you do, whatever it is.
Yeah, very interesting topic about the structure, because you mentioned earlier the kind of scheme that is that we often see in jazz of head improvisation, head out. And it's in my compositions, especially in the past few years, I try not to work like this, at least not by default. So in a way, kind of, I think it connects to what Yotam said as well. I think of the composition as basically, as a whole, not as a composition that later goes to improvisation and then back to the composition. Mostly, again, I'm saying not necessarily always, but if I think about the compositions that I've been working on lately, it's mostly the improvisation is a part of the general scheme of the composition. Not always though. So in regard to form, I think something that really influenced me in terms of how I try to view form in composition is when I was in Berkeley, I was playing in the band of one of my teachers took me to play in his band, Danilo Perez, the great Panamanian pianist.
Yeah,
and which was for about 2 years I got to play with him, and that was my biggest school ever, and life-changing experience. And playing Danilo's music was really opened my mind big time, because his music is like the last thing you can say about his music is that it's kind of the ABA solos, ABA. It's not that. You write big compositions with different sections that have different forms, and very rich in always harmony, form, rhythm, everything very developed. So I didn't even know it at the time, but just studying his music and playing his music a lot was really big influence on me and his inspiration to this day. But definitely kind of the set kind of just kind of like basically a big inspiration. I set a goal to myself to kind of see that as an option of how to treat composition in jazz.
Mm-hmm.
later on, when I was studying in the Hancock Institute, I had two teachers for compositions, actually three, that had very big impact on me. All amazing composer. It was the great John Beasley, and the great Billy Childs, and the amazing Tigran Hamasyan. All of them were my teachers at the time that I studied the composition with, and each of them I can say is a very developed composer, also amazing. Of them they're all incredible players as well, but very, very, sophisticated composers, and each has their own thing. And yeah, so that was a big inspiration. Also, when I think about it now, the three of them are pianists. So I think some of and Danilo also is a pianist, obviously. So Yotam mentioned the piano. I also when I work on composition, I have terrible piano skills. Yotam is a much, much better pianist than me, but I work. You're better than me, way better. And but I work on the piano when I compose. And I think some of my favorite composers in contemporary jazz are pianists, actually, when I think about it right now.
And I'm turning to something a bit different. Yotam, where are you? The sun is shining there, right? And I just
Mexico.
I just told Roni I'm very, very jealous because I'm in northern Germany right now.
Yeah.
Where are you, and how did you get there, and who are you playing with there?
Okay, so I'm in Mexico. I have a pretty long love story with Mexico for the past 2 years, and I have very good friends here. My connection to Mexico is Ilan. You know Ilan Barlovi, the guitar player.
Sure, yeah.
So there's this band that he used to play with for many years. Their name is Sonics. And when I moved to New York, the first or second year, one time I stayed in New York the whole winter. Mm-hmm. And I promised myself that I will never do it again.
No, I can understand that, yeah.
And then one winter I went to Mexico, not to play actually, but there, by chance, I met Elio, which is one of the players in the band, in this band. And I met some other people, and then about a year later, I came to play with some other guitar player that invited me to play with him in Mexico. And I contacted Elio, and then he invited me to play with Sonics, and I met Jeronimo, which is a very, very good friend of mine, which I actually now, I'm in his house. This is where I'm staying here now. And then I fell in love with the music that they play sonics. They play music that's called son jarocho, which is music from a place called like a state called Veracruz in Mexico, that has a lot of influences from Spanish music and Arabic music and African music, and rhythmically is incredible, and poetically also the lyrics are a very big part of this music. And actually also um, regardless, also when I was still in Israel, I was listening to rumba, and which is music from Cuba. Um, and there's also a lot of rumba. I'm actually so okay. So I came here and played with Sonics, got into son jarocho. Um, Now also my teacher, my rumba teacher, uh, or Afro-Cuban music in general, he lives in Mexico, and I'm here taking classes with him, and I'm playing gigs. I played some gigs with my music with the Helio and Jero and musicians from here, and because I've been coming here quite often, so I have a lot of friends and connections, and I'm playing and recording and running away of the winter and studying.
So you're still based in New York?
I am, since the pandemic started, so I'm considered based in New York, and this is where like I am based uh, bureaucratically. But since the pandemic started, I am like I'm going in and out a lot. I'm going to Israel a lot. I'm coming here to Mexico, spending time in New York. Um, but this is kind of where I am. I have like my stuff in New York, and you know,
Yeah.
I'm being a harmonica player, a
And
vagabond.
Roni, you are in Tel Aviv, and
Right.
I hear that you have now a quartet with David Michaeli. Am I right?
Yeah, it's a quintet actually.
Quintet. Sorry for the fifth.
Right. Yeah. That's a project that's been going on here.
your music?
Both of us of our music, yeah, and David's and mine composition. So yeah, that's been really a great pleasure to do this band. It's a group of friends with great musicians. Daniel Schwarzwald on the piano, who is also your student, I believe, right?
Yeah, he was my student for a long time, right? Yeah,
And yeah, also from Jerusalem.
right.
And Amir Bar Kiva, great drummer, and the amazing cellist Mayu Shvilo. So yeah, that's been one thing that I've been doing here. Also, since I came back, well, after LA, I finished the Hancock Institute during the COVID pandemic. So originally I planned to stay in LA at least for some time, but everything was closed, and I decided that I'll make a shift and I'll come back to Israel for a while, which now already is, a year and a half that I'm already here.
Yeah.
So, but it's been great. So I have that project. I'm also playing, doing some other things as sideman. I play with in the quintet of the incredible Omri Moore. Project and other different things, recordings, teaching, playing, and also planning to record my first album. I still haven't recorded an album, but it will happen in the next few months. So
any concrete plans about this album?
The concrete is being created right now. It still haven't been poured, but we're making the concrete at this moment, so it's almost there.
All right.
But it's going to happen for sure in the next couple months. And yeah, I'll say things when they're concrete.
Okay.
For sure, I'll say it. But I think I'm really excited about this, and I waited for a while to do this. So yeah.
And Yotam, are you planning any definite project of your own, a recording or that?
So I released one album of mine I have a band in New York that I've been playing with for a long time, and right now it's the pianist, his name is Gabriel Chakarhi, the bass player is Alon Nir, and the drummer changed many times. The first album was recorded with Ofri Nehemia, and the second album, most of it was recorded with Noam Israeli. And now the drummer I've been playing with a lot, his name is Franco Pina, which is a master of drum and rhythm and music, and he's from Argentina. So I'm playing with them, and I am in the midst of releasing another album that is actually, I'm releasing it in two parts. One part is it's an album that was recorded for a long time, and I contemplated over it a lot, and if to release it or not, and what to do with it. And eventually I decided to release it in two parts, which one part is instrumental and the other part is with songs in Hebrew that I sing. And yes, and so like the instrumental part is coming out in the beginning of March, and one with the songs is coming out in April.
Hmm. No?
And
And I can
besides
just,
that, I have
I heard a little bit of it, and it's amazing. It's going to be amazing from what I heard. Can't wait to hear the whole thing. But
I'm sure.
yeah.
זה רוני, מלך. Thank you, Ronnie. But yeah, and I have more music that I want to record. My, I think that the next project that I will do will be with, will be in Israel, and it will be a like, yeah, more songs in Hebrew with my plan is to do it with Tom, is a very good friend of mine. Tom Bolig is a drummer, and maybe with Tal Mashiach is a bass player, and some musicians that I want to work with in Israel.
Well, that's great. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we end our great interview here?
I have something.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention also Gregoire Moret, which is this man. I owe him so much musically and beyond, because he's a huge inspiration as a harmonica player and as a human being. And if we're talking about harmonica and all of that, I feel like, and I didn't mention him, and he's a huge mentor. Yeah.
Roni, I think you mentioned him, right? So
yeah. I'm also, he influenced me greatly. He's a very good friend, big inspiration for me. And I think and both of us, I can say probably I feel at least I'm very lucky to, to have him as a mentor. Also, I guess I just want to use this platform. I want to give a shout out to, besides of us, there are other great harmonica players in Israel. I think it's important to mention them, to be
Please
aware,
do.
because it's interesting. Yeah. So you mentioned Yael. Yael is incredible. Dror, who was Yotam teacher from the other trio, is also a great friend, and I admire him as well. There is also another young player who is really great, upcoming, also from Jerusalem, I think. Her name is Ariel Bart, who is a great harmonica player, and probably there'll be more. So it's, just stay. It's pretty cool that it's happening. Just wanted to mention.
And now we have a new generation of teachers. I mean, with you. Yeah, which is great.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much for obliging me for this interview. I was really curious to hear what's going on.
Thank you so much.
Oh, and I forgot to mention one. Itai, sorry,
Yes.
I would feel bad if I wanted.
Okay.
Also, there are other harmonica players. There is also another one has been my student for a while, and she's going to be amazing. Her name is Rotem. Rotem Koval.
I forgot to mention Jason Rosenblatt, which is a great harmonica player that plays in this technique. He studied with Howard Levy, that is a harmonica player that developed this technique of playing chromatically on the diatonic harmonica, which is very cool.
Wow.
And
he's incredible.
Of course,
he's incredible.
Yeah.
Jason is, whew. And he moved to Israel
Yeah.
recently. He's from Canada
Yeah.
originally.
Mhm.
And he's a great. He's working hard to make this harmonica scene happen in Israel, and we're very thankful for him to do it.
Definitely.
And also Michal Adler. She's now actually the Adler trio is her trio, and she's the niece of Dror, our teacher,
Mhm.
and she's great too.
Yeah, and also Dov Hammer, we mentioned him, the great blues
Yeah.
Mhm.
player. There are a lot, and I'm sure maybe we're forgetting some names right now. So apologies in advance, but
But
yeah,
you're saying there is a harmonica scene in Israel.
I
There
would
is something like that. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Well, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure, and I hope to conduct another
Thank you, Itai.
interview with you after your albums come out, whenever you have time. See you then.
Would love to. Thank you, Itai.
Thank you very much, Itai.